production of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
It took all of 2 games, but we had high drama in the 9th inning in the Lone Star State last night. The result? Another Indians win and another Cody Allen save, picking up where he left off in October. Tonight, the Tribe goes for the sweep behind Danny Salazar. The man the team calls Pepe Le Pew makes his season debut next on Sports Time Ohio. The Indians-Rangers opening series is brought to you by Echo Outdoor Power Equipment. Tonight, once again from Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas, it's the Indians and the Rangers as the Tribe tries to finish off a 3-game sweep to start the season. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. Carlos Santana once again will be in the leadoff spot. And Rick, while he may not profile when you look at him as a leadoff guy, the 3 spots he's batted primarily in his career: cleanup, number 5, and in the leadoff position. He has his highest on-base percentage, highest slugging percentage, and highest OPS when batting leadoff.
Well, he's a good leadoff hitter because he can give you, with one swing of the bat, the lead, as he did in this series already. 85 times last year he led off for the Indians. Now, with Kipnis out, who knows? Terry Francona does have other possibilities, but right now Santana's doing a wonderful job. And the thing is, he accepts it. He wants to succeed there. He's willing to do anything for this ball club, and he has been a good leadoff hitter, and hopefully he can keep going.
Tonight's pitching matchup should be a good one. Danny Salazar will go for the Tribe. Left-hander Cole Hamels counters for Texas. We'll be back with tonight's play-by-play coming up next. Carlos Santana's first home run of the year. Brandon Guyer with a terrific catch in deep right field. Racing out, Ramirez with a terrific play. The tying run pulls into second as Mike Napoli delivers an RBI double. Tense moments here in game number 2. Blew it by him.
That's a beauty right there.
Cody Allen ready, he deals. Swung out and missed. He struck him out to end the game. Cody Allen, nerves of steel. The Indians start the season now 2-0. Oh, and we welcome you into Game 3 here in Texas as the Indians and Rangers square off one more time before the Tribe moves on to Phoenix to take on the Diamondbacks in interleague action. Both teams shaking up the lineup here in Game 3. Why have the Indians made such changes? Let's go down to Andre Knott.
Well, first of all, let me tell everyone back home in Cleveland, there is nothing wrong with Michael Brantley. He feels great. But Tito Francona says over the first month of the season, he's going to pick and choose times to play Michael Brantley. He wants him to be ready to be a full-time player, but he sees there's no reason to play him every single day right now. With an off day tomorrow, he's going to give him the night off. Plus, he wants to get Brandon Guyer going. He likes what he gives him, and he wants to use him. Matt, you talked about it in the game last night. Brandon Guyer is not going to be an average platoon player. He's going to play a lot for the Indians, so they like this chance to play him in the 3-hole today and give Brantley a day off tonight and tomorrow, and he'll be back in the lineup when we're in Arizona on Friday evening.
All right, thanks, Andre. We'll tell you about the changes in the Rangers batting order when they come to bat, but let's go ahead and take a look at the Tribe's starting 9 presented by Progressive. Carlos Santana once again leading it off. Then it's Francisco Lindor. You see Brandon Guyer batting third. Edwin Encarnacion, he's entrenched in that cleanup spot. Jose Ramirez will protect him. Yandy Diaz hitting 6th. Then it's Austin Jackson. Roberto Perez gets his first start of the year, and Abe Almonte will bat 9th.
And the Northern Ohio Hyundai starting pitcher for the Rangers is going to be Cole Hamels, 33-year-old left-hander. Has made 44 regular season starts for the Rangers since getting traded over here. He has a record of 22-6, and the Rangers have been 34-10 in his 44 starts. So they've been very successful. He's a perennial 200-inning guy, 200 strikeouts. He's got the fastball. He has a cutter. He's got a very good changeup, and he moves the ball around. And you're going to have to stay on the baseball if you want to have success against him tonight.
Carlos Santana, 4 for 8 in the series with a homer and 3 runs batted in. Tonight's first pitch from Hamels is a high fastball, 1-0. Little off-speed pitch, drops it in there for a strike. And it's 1-1.
Spent some time, first part of his career with Philadelphia. Learned to throw his cutter. Was taught to by Cliff Lee.
That was a good fastball to get ahead in the count.
You know, normally this guy you would think would be their #1 starter, Matt, coming out to start the year. But why he's in the number 3 hole, it's hard to figure out.
Santana grounds one to third. Joey Gallo throws across, 1 away.
Okay, let's set the Rangers defense for you, brought to you by Wendy's. In the outfield, Nomar Mazara is in left tonight. Carlos Gomez in center. It'll be Chu over in right field. With Joey Gallo at third, Elvis Anderson short. Rougned Odor is at second, Mike Napoli at first. Jonathan Lucroy back behind the plate tonight.
Mike McClinsky behind the plate tonight. Stu Sherwater is in at first. Mike Winters, the crew chief, at second. Mark Wegner down at third. Francisco Lindor pops one foul out of play. Looking for his first hit of the year. 0 for 6 in the first 2 games of the series. Did have a sac fly on opening night. High with a heater. 1-1. Arch, to answer your question, just speculation on my part, I think one of the reasons maybe Hamels got bumped back in the Rangers rotation has something to do with how he faded down the stretch last year. Again, just speculation,
right.
But in his last 6 starts last season, He had an earned run average of .675 and had 1 win.
Yeah.
Couple that with his postseason disaster in which he gave up 6 runs in 3 innings against Toronto.
Right.
And maybe the Rangers just felt like maybe he's not our front of the rotation guy.
And he wasn't having the best of springs. But this guy, I mean, for the last, he's made at least 30 starts in each of the last 9 seasons. So he's been a horse. He's been your go-to guy. You know, even though you struggle a little bit, he's still, in my estimation, their #1 pitcher.
The 2-2. And he got him looking. Locked him up with a fastball. And the first 2 retired by Cole Hamels.
Check it out on our Nissan pitch tracker. He moves the fastball inside. That's just a 4-seamer on the inside part of the plate. You'll see him throw it away. That changeup goes away, and he also has that cutter inside. So he's got a variety. And you'll see him lock some hitters up.
There's Brandon Guyer looking at a pitch up and away. I guess another way to look at it, Rick, is as a starting pitcher, you could look at it like a demotion, or you could look at it like you can just kind of take a breath and relax being the #3 starter.
Well, I don't think he needs to relax. I think the pressure's been put on him his whole career. He's been the #1 guy to go to. You got Yu Darvish, who's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. Are they trying to cater to him to please him so he can come back and sign here? I don't know.
The 2-0, and it's an inside corner fastball called a strike. You can see Hamels really trying to establish his fastball in, out, all 4 quadrants of the strike zone here right out of the gate. Pop up, foul, out of play.
Well, that is a key for him. You establish that, everything else falls into place. Like most starters, if you can establish that fastball, both sides of the plate, move it up and down, that first time through the lineup, for the most part, you do show some other pitches. That's a good sign. It gets you rolling.
Again, foul back. Even though Hamels didn't pitch in a lot of the quote-unquote big league spring training games, he said, quote, it's just really getting in good work in the spring. The number of innings I was able to accumulate put me in a position so that when I start tonight, I've basically done everything that I'm accustomed to, and the comfort level will be there. Guyer pops one toward the gap. Long run and a nice play by Mazzara, the left fielder. And the inning is over. The Indians go 1-2-3. The Rangers come to bat against Danny Salazar when we come back. Cook Tires. Leading off is Delino DeShields. He'll be the DH. Shin-Soo Choo bats second. Nomar Mazzara third. Mike Napoli batting cleanup. Ruganet Odor will hit fifth. Carlos Gomez moves from the leadoff spot down to sixth. Then it's the Rangers catcher, followed by Joey Gallo and Elvis Andrus batting ninth. So Jeff Bannister says, you know what, we're going to kind of change up the lineup a little bit here as we take a look at Danny Salazar's numbers.
Yeah, brought to you by Northern Ohio Honda. Well, if you remember, we went down to San Antonio over St. Patty's Day, and Salazar got a start there. The Shields led off, and I think he reached base 3 times off Salazar. He walked a couple of times, so maybe he felt it was good for him to get in there and get some at-bats.
Gomez had been the leadoff man in the first 2 games of the series, but he goes from the leadoff spot down to 6 with the Shields entering the lineup. Chu had been DHing. He's in right field tonight, batting in that 2 spot. The Shields chases one up high. He is quickly erased by Salazar on 3 pitches.
Well, Danny's letting it go too. He's coming straight out with that. Look at that fastball. He cuts underneath it, and he rides that one past him at the letters. But Danny, in that game that we talked about in spring training, had 9 strikeouts, I think, in his 5 innings of work. And he had such a great changeup, if you remember that day. And that's the pitch that has really made him. Over 50% of his strikeouts have come on changeups.
And he is a strikeout pitcher. Last year, he struck out better than 27% of the batters he faced, which was 11th out of 142 starting pitchers that qualified. So he is one of the top strikeout artists in the game. Can that at times get him in trouble, though?
Yes, yeah. I mean, because the pitch count goes up, and a lot of times, if he's throwing that high fastball or something, they'll foul a lot off, and they'll make him work a little bit harder. Danny's going to concentrate, maybe throw some more curveballs early this year and see what happens. And that's just another pitch he can add to take him off the changeup.
Just missed inside there. 3-1 to Chu.
But again, when you have the fastball like Danny, you can't fall in love with your off-speed pitches because he can throw it by you. And he's throwing harder than Cole Hamels is.
Strike called. See, that's the front side sinker or that comeback fastball where the hitter gives up on it. Left-handed hitters give up on this pitch, but watch where it ends up.
Well, that's borderline, but Chu, I mean, he turned to the inside. I mean, it was closer than what he made it look like.
And ultimately, he walks it. Looked like a changeup that went awry.
Let's set the Tribe defense for you. Brought to you by Jeep. Behind Salazar tonight, it'll be Brandon Geyer in left, Austin Jackson in center, Abe Almonte over in right. Yandy Diaz at third. It'll be Frankie Lindor at short. Jose Ramirez at second. Edwin Encarnacion is at first. And Roberto Perez gets his first start this year.
Nomar Mazara off to a fast start, 4 for 8 in this series with a couple of doubles. Fastball in the corner, on the inside corner for a strike. That is tattooed, and it is long gone to the upper deck and right. And the Rangers jump out to a 2-0 lead. Texas has been proficient in the first 3 games of the season now at hitting the long ball. They had 3 home runs on opening day, another home run last night, and now a 3rd straight game they have homered in to start the year.
Well, that fastball's middle of the plate, and it was belt high. And he did with it what you're supposed to do with it if you're a number 3 hitter. Mazara hit it out. And it's a quick 2 runs for Texas. After the walk to Chu, he took advantage of a pitch that was not well located.
Now here's Mike Napoli, and it's a fastball at the knees for strike 1. Napoli's lone hit in the series came in the 9th inning last night when he doubled in a run. Swings and misses at the off-speed pitch. It's 0-2. Almost chased a high heater, but held up. A ball and 2 strikes.
Well, it's almost like Napoli realizes that he's going to get pitched with fastballs up when he gets to 2 strikes. He wants to swing at it, but he's been able to hold up in this series. He didn't that time.
Danny Salazar with his 2nd strikeout tonight. Tonight's storylines are brought to you by Wayside Furniture. The Indians approach versus Hamels. And for Danny Salazar, we talk about this a lot. Tempo. When he is in a good rhythm, when he's getting the ball, getting the sign, and quickly getting into his delivery, he's usually a lot better. What will be the Indians' approach, do you think, tonight against Hamels to have success?
Well, they're going to have to stay on it. Right now, he went out there in the 1st inning and just threw fastballs pretty much for the most part to establish that. But he's going to end up working that changeup and cutter in, so they got to use the whole field.
Here's Rougned Odor. 2 homers on opening night. They held him just 1 single in last night's game.
Yeah, and the one guy that's missing from this Texas lineup that makes it so good is one of their best hitters, Adrian Beltre. Because you plug him into that number 3 spot, and everybody else in that lineup gets a little bit better. And it sounds like he may play over the weekend if he's eligible to come off that 10-day DL, depending on when they went back to make him available.
Yeah, they're
or
missing.
They put it on.
They're missing a guy who had, what, 37 home runs last year.
He's going for 3,000 hits. He's got over 400 home runs. He's been a terrific player his whole career.
Odor lays off the high heat.
He's certainly the heart and soul of that team.
Off-speed pitch in there for strike 3 call. Salazar fans 3, but Nomar Mazara makes him pay for a mistake. It's a 2-run homer and a 2-0 Texas lead. Will lead off for the Indians. He had 2 hits on opening night, including a home run, but the Rangers held him at bay last night, though the Indians were still able to pick up the victory. Hamels, a lot of fastballs here at the outset, and he's been able to move the fastball around, changing locations, and to this point, 3 up, 3 down. In off the plate that time.
Cutter.
And it's 1-1. Indians with an all right-handed hitting lineup against Hamels tonight. That time he took something off, and that's his go-to pitch. That changeup induces a lot of swings and misses.
Well, that's the pitch that's going to make you have to stay on it. But you see, he set it up, and now he's into the second inning. He established the fastball, but now you get the big boys that can hit you out of the ballpark, a little bigger swing, and the cutter was in there, the changeup. It's pretty much like he shows the fastball more to those guys and not give it to him for strikes, and attacks him with his off speed.
High fastball. When Hamels threw his changeup last year, and he only used it about 18% of the time, but according to T.R. Sullivan, who covers the Rangers for MLB.com, that pitch accounted for 1/3 of his swinging strikes. When they took a swing at it, they missed 40% of the time. And down goes Encarnacion on a high fastball. His second strikeout. One down here in the second inning. Stat of the game brought to you by Buick. Last time the Indians started 3-0 was 1998. And in that game, Brian Giles went 3 for 3 with 2 home runs, both of them coming off one-time Indian Jack McDowell.
I'll be darned. BG.
Jose Ramirez, 1 out of 6 to start the campaign. Hamels starting to mix in a few more off-speed pitches here in the second inning.
Yeah. Back-to-back changeups. You see, those guys are sitting in the first inning watching what Hamels is doing, you know, when he retired the side 1, 2, 3, and they were all looking, saying a lot of fastballs, a lot of fastballs. So in their mind, they're going up there looking for that fastball, and he's going to work now in the second inning.
Ramirez with a liner, but Odor is right there to snag it. 2 down.
Ball hit right on the nose, but right into the tracks of Odor at second base, who was playing him up the middle.
And now Yandy Diaz, 1 out of 8 in the first 2 games of the series. He is in a very good rhythm to start this game.
Yeah, that's what you want to do. Try and quickly get him out of the stretch, because he's got a feel, and he's got that arm slot now from the full windup.
Just missed inside. Hamels thought he was going to have a quick inning.
No, he thought he was going to get the call, and he was just going to take a walk off, and it looked inside. But he wanted the call. Didn't say anything, didn't show him up.
Down in the dirt, and Diaz able to lay off, and that's something right-handed batters had a tough time doing against Hamels last year. After the All-Star break, he had the 17th highest chase percentage against right-handed batters, and you figure he faces a lot of right-handed batters because nobody's going to put lefties in against him.
Well, you can put lefties in against him, but it's just that, you know, it's not, he doesn't have the big breaking ball.
Chased one in the dirt, and he strikes out to end the inning. 6 up, 6 down, middle of the second, 2-0 Texas. With a 2-run homer in the first from Nomar Mazara. And now here in inning number 2, Carlos Gomez, who launched a mammoth home run on opening night. But that's his only hit so far in 8 at-bats. Reached for it, fouling it off, 1-1. And a fastball strike right over the outside corner at Gomez, frozen, nothing to do. No way to react, so he's behind 1 ball and 2 strikes. Yeah, you look at Salazar, and it's difficult for him to have fast innings because it's just difficult for guys to put the ball in play against him.
Yeah, he has a lot of swing and miss stuff.
There's the changeup, and Gomez able to just get a piece of it.
You know, he's got enough to get it by you when you swing and miss. And you look at a guy like Tomlin or Kluber, who has great stuff, but a lot of people will swing early in the count. They can find a way to put it in play, and they can use their defense. But you're right, it's a little tougher for Danny, and it always has been.
That ball took off on him. And full count.
A lot of times he leaves his fastball upstairs, and there's a lot of foul balls, or there's a lot of deep counts. And he will walk some guys as well.
There's the payoff. Right back to the screen. So a good leadoff at bat for Carlos Gomez. He forces Salazar to make a lot of pitches here. This will be number 7 of the at bat. And he ends up walking. 2 walks in 2 innings. Arquilla in the driver's seat tonight. Last year, Danny Salazar, just a little over 50% of the strikeouts came on a changeup.
Well, that's the swing and miss pitch. That, you know, when he keeps it down, it has such great movement.
I never understood throwing a first pitch changeup.
Well, guys are usually sitting on his fastball, but you know, once they get an idea, if you face him a lot of times, you don't worry about it. You just sit on that fastball if you can. When he throws a good changeup, you're not going to hit it.
But a first pitch changeup, you haven't seen him yet.
Well, you're right. For the most part, first pitch changeups, it's crazy unless you get guys in scoring position and a guy's looking for the fastball to swing it in. That's where you'll throw it.
Okay. Rangers have their leadoff man aboard. Salazar out of the stretch, gets a double play ball to short. The Indians quickly turn 2. Lindor over to Ramirez.
Well, Live Indians Baseball is back in 2017 with MLB.com at bat. It's on your smartphone or your tablet. You can stay connected with live radio broadcast, stats, breaking news, and more. Just download the #1 app for live baseball. That's MLB.com at bat.
Joey Gallo. Well, there's a nice first pitch breaking ball, dropping in for a strike.
See, there's nothing wrong with that. And that looked like the curveball, and that's what he's going to try and throw maybe more.
There's a good changeup, and it's 0-2.
Now you can try to elevate the fastball above the belt. Not that high, though.
appeal. He did not go. Back to even at 2-2.
This looked like it was a nice curveball, breaking straight down.
From 0-2 to 3-2. Elvis Andrus would be next. Swung on and missed. Looked like another changeup. Danny Salazar with his 4th strikeout. And after 2 innings of play, it's Texas 2, Cleveland nothing.
'17 Tribe Season ticket package for the best seats at the best prices with the best perks. Save big over single game prices. Get access to all season long. Autograph parties, plenty more. Visit Indians.com.
Austin Jackson steps in to lead off the 3rd for Cleveland. 2 for 4 last night in his Indians debut. Swings at the first pitch. Pops it foul. Might be playable here. And that's out number 1. Now here's Roberto Perez getting his first action of the year. Played in 10 spring training games because he played for Team Puerto Rico in the World Baseball Classic. So he was gone for a good portion of the Indians spring training Cactus League schedule. But in those 10 games, he batted .304 with a couple of doubles, a couple of runs batted in. He started all 15 postseason games last October, including an incredible 2 home runs in Game 1 of the World Series. A 1-1 way outside.
This is about as straight up as the defense as you're going to see for anybody.
And a chopper right at the shortstop, Elvis Andrus. 2 quick outs here in the 3rd. Last October, who will ever forget Roberto Perez off John Lester A laser right to the top of the fence, just over the yellow line off the railing. And then later, he did it again. And that sent the place into a frenzy. He was the first, if I remember right, he was the first 9th place hitter in a lineup to hit 2 home runs in a World Series game. You know, normally you think number 9 hitters, you don't expect to get any power.
Well, most of the time it'd be pitchers. But
well, that's true too.
He happened to be in his American League park, but he was in the. He had a DH that game.
Abraham Almonte 1 for 3. In the opener, had a couple of walks. He scored a couple of runs. See, that's where Hamels is just razor sharp here in the early going. He's able to nail that inside corner, then pitch away, changing speeds.
Well, you see, when he proves he can throw that 4-seamer inside to the right-handers, they'll start swinging at that cutter their second time, and that'll expand the outside part of the plate for his changeup right there.
4 strikeouts. He's perfect through 3. 2-0 Texas. For Texas on a beautiful night, 68 degrees at game time, so quite a bit cooler than what we had the first 2 games.
This is the first time I've ever seen you come to Texas and say, I'm cold. Don't open the windows. It's going to get colder.
Well, you know what?
What happened
I
to
actually
you?
wanted the windows open because they had the air conditioning fired up in here like it was 90 degrees outside, but it wasn't. So
we usually come here, it's 105 degrees.
Yeah.
And we won't be back until next year after tonight.
Whoa, man, a shot right back past Salazar's noggin. And Elvis Andrus is aboard to start the 3rd for Texas.
Well, he's 3 for 8 against Salazar in his career. Make it 4 for 9. There's the breaking ball that goes right back where it came from. Danny's got a duck to get out of the way. So this guy hits every pitch for the Indians. It doesn't matter. He told you that all series, and he continues to do it.
Now Delino to Shields, who was just frankly overmatched his first time up. 3 pitches. He was a strikeout victim. Last year in his big league action, DeShields hit .209, which isn't anything to write home about, but the Texas Rangers feel like he can be a guy to get on base, and when he does, he's got the speed to make things happen.
Well, this is a good combination to have these 2 aboard. A guy that can run, a guy that can bunt or hit and run.
Nice play by Diaz to scoop it up and throw out the speedy DeShields for out number 1. Andrus moves into scoring position on the sacrifice. Today's injury report brought to you by the attorneys at Elk and Elk. And Adrian Beltre, who started the year on the DL, will not be there long. In fact, they're hoping that he'll be activated before the Rangers wrap up this homestand to start the year. But
quite a few guys on that DL.
As you alluded to earlier, even though he has played in other organizations, he has sort of become the linchpin of this Rangers ball club. And I know Andre Knott has more on that downstairs.
Well, even talking to Mike Napoli today, I didn't bring it up to him. He said to me, I said last night you almost ruined our dream. And he said, our dream is ruined because we don't have Beltre in the middle of our lineup. He goes, he does for us what Brantley's done for you guys the last 2 nights. And he just talked about the leadership, but just the at-bats that he gives to the Rangers. He was taking batting practice, as you just talked about, with that first group, with Napoli and others. They want him to play. He said he wanted to play the opener, but they don't want this injury that he has to linger. But Beltre is their guy, as you kind of said earlier this evening, Rick.
Well, just like, we had to play all last year without Michael Brantley. And, Beltre's, he's a gamer. It's like when Michael was out there, he couldn't help it. He had the surgery on his shoulder. But when you miss the whole year and you've got to go through it without your best player, it makes a difference. For a series or, maybe a week, it's not too bad. You can get away with it.
The one thing Knapp said, just in a game like last night, he goes, he wasn't pointing fingers, but you want that guy in the middle of the lineup. And he was one of the guys in the middle. He goes, that's the guy you want up in that situation, though. And they didn't have him. He said you could feel it in the 8th and 9th inning when they needed a big hit.
Yeah, the veteran right there, the presence that you can count on.
Yeah, it's hard to feel sorry for him because, as you pointed out, we know what it feels like. When you go through an entire season and you don't have your guy, nobody else feels sorry for you.
No, sir. They're thankful. And it was a good time to catch Texas with him out of there.
Chu was about to pull the trigger, but he couldn't. And Salazar drops it in there for strike 2. The way Hamels has started this game, I'm not saying that Danny can't afford to give up any more runs, but
well, you don't want to fall behind anymore, to be honest with you. You're right. First time through, he's been terrific.
Popped out of play.
You can see right where Lindor is playing. He's staying right in the back pocket of Andrus at second base, which is a good idea, because he's a very good base stealer, a wise one, but you don't want to let him get a walking lead because you can see where Diaz is off the bag at third. And, he may sit out there and look for a changeup or something, that an off-speed pitch that he could take off on. So keep them close, which they are.
Down and in. He's able to lay off 2 balls, 2 strikes. And we saw Chu the other night slap the ball through the left side of the infield.
That's pretty much his stroke. He doesn't try to pull the ball. He stays on it, tries to go. He has good power to left center and things like that, but he tries to push everything the other way, especially on the inner part of the plate.
Right at Lindor. He'll go to first for the easy out, and there are 2 down. Andrus moves to third.
Well, here comes Mickey Callaway, I think, to talk to Salazar about the left-hander. Salazar, who took him deep in his last at-bat. You've got Napoli on deck, so they may go talk about how to go about pitching to this guy in this situation, because he's got a fastball, and that's the difference in the ball game. That fastball that was down the middle launched into the upper tank here.
Well, the Rangers have a runner at third with 2 down. And we'll see what the Indians do defensively. Looks like they'll play him more or less straight up on the infield. No shift, but you see Jackson in center field shading Mazzara toward right center. Counted in for ball one. Nice pitch. Popped out of play. Nomar Mazara made the opening day roster for the first time in his young career. He got called up last year in the 7th game of the season to make his debut.
Yeah, he came and actually made his name because Chu got put on the disabled list.
He's just shy of 22 years old, which makes him only the 10th Ranger to start a season opener under 22. The guy at third base has also done that, Elvis Andrus. To center field, Jackson on the run, long way to go, but he runs it down to end the inning. No runs a hit, a man left at third after 3. Texas 2, Cleveland nothing. Order for Cleveland. First time through, 9 up, 9 down, 4 strikeouts for Cole Hamels. We'll see if the Indians can change things up here second time around. Carlos Santana grounded out to third, his only time up.
Yeah, you'd like to get him out of the stretch one time. See if he's as sharp.
Santana with a line shot into left field. One pitch is all it took, Arch.
Yeah, and it looked like it was a changeup. And Santana's, he's done a nice job of leading off early, and there it was away. I'll tell you what, you give this guy swinging room. I don't care what the pitch is. He catches up with the fastball. He hit one out down the line last night. He pulls that changeup right there. He likes to extend those arms. So it gets the Indians' first hit.
That's something Francisco Lindor is looking for. Struck out looking his first time up. Yanked to left. Back is Mazzara. And he misplays the ball. And it got hung up against the fence, but Santana will have to stop at second because from his vantage point, it looked like Mazzara was going to make the catch.
Yeah.
So he was kind of pulling into second, thinking he might have to re-tag the base and go back. And hey, all things well with 2 on and nobody out.
Yeah, he went that cutter down and in, and he hit it. He tried to jump, and I don't know if that ball, he made the ball move, but Santana couldn't do anything. He wanted to restart. He thought he was going to catch it. He doesn't. He thought about it. Nope. I'll stay right at second base, and wise to do that.
They'll rule that a base hit, and I think that's probably the right decision. It's just Mazzara sort of, I don't want to say nonchalantly, but it looked like he had a good beat on it, was going to catch it.
He played right field the first 2 games of this series. He's playing left tonight because they wanted to get Chu in there. So now he's going to be the swing man, but that's probably a little awkward over there, a little more difficult, I think, in left field than in right. But the ball should have been caught.
There's Brandon Guyer now. Turn, but nothing doing at second with Santana.
Yeah, there he's coming out of the stretch. Let's see what they can do.
Guyer fly to left, his only time up. And he goes after the first pitch, but pops it sky high on the infield. Infield fly rule is put into effect. 1 away. One more look at the ball and left by Mazzara.
He jumps up, and for what, I don't know, because he could have stayed flat-footed. I mean, on the run and catch that. He thought he was going to go over his head unless it had some top spin on it, but that's a ball he should have caught.
Well, Edwin Encarnacion struck out his only time up. Hamels will try to pick up his defense. Encarnacion will try to make him pay. And he chased a changeup for strike 1. Upstairs, 1 ball, 1 strike.
His last at bat, it almost looked like he was just going to show him the fastball. Encarnacion, he got him to go up above, and like he started him off changeup with runners in scoring position. I don't think he's going to see a good fastball to hit. He may brush him back with one, he may elevate one, but I think it's going to be changeups and cutters for strikes. There's the fastball. It was down in the zone, though. It was at the knees. Nissan pitch tracker, good pitch. It had a lot of the plate, too.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Two on, 1 out. 2-2 is up high. You know, Arch, that first pitch changeup that he threw to Encarnacion, I was thinking to myself, boy, that's the first time I've seen Edwin really go up and maybe chase a pitch. But he's going up there looking first pitch fastball, because right up into that point, 11 of the 12 batters had seen first pitch fastballs.
Right, he was looking fastball. But see, that's where you get your power hitters. They're going to guess first pitch red. They're going to take a chance, and you back off on it.
3-2, slowly chopped to short. Andrus has to wait back on it, and he will throw him out. 2 down. Santana to third, Lindor to second, and with 2 down, we'll go to Al Pawlowski for this Buick game break. All right, Al, I'm not sure if you noticed at home there, but with Mike Napoli, looked like he was telling Hamels, hey, you got Jose Ramirez right here. He was pretty close with Jose last year. I'm sure he has a good read, a good scouting report. Maybe giving Hamels a little inside dope on what to do here.
Yeah, be careful, because first base is open. You got a rookie on deck.
With runners in scoring position and 2 outs, Ramirez hit .366 a year ago. He was lethal in these situations.
He was the Indians' best hitter when it comes to this situation. There you'll see it. I mean, this is the toughest one to hit in. A 2-out RBI. You could tie the game with a single. And I'm sure that's what Napoli told him. Don't give in. You make your perfect pitch or get him to chase something.
Well, especially when you've got a rookie on deck, right?
Yeah. Well, after what Ramirez showed us last year, there's no question about it. That's what you do. You just be a little more careful than normal.
Just missed off the plate. Borderline pitch. It did look like a ball, but it was close.
That's what I'm saying. You make these kind of pitches, either a perfect pitch or just off the plate, and he's got the control to do that too. If Ramirez is patient enough, which a lot of times he is, and he doesn't go out there to try to pull a ball, then you walk him and you move on. Look at this.
Shoots it into right field, a base hit. Santana scores. Here comes Lindor. Here's the throw. It's cut off.
There you go.
Indians have tied the game. Ramirez chasing to second base. Napoli did apparently tag him on the pocket. Ramirez has a big smile. He'll trade the out for the 2 runs in, and we've got a brand new ball game, middle of the 4th, 2-2 in Texas.
Is an excellent hitter, but they want to try and continue to throw him a strike. He just missed with a fastball away. He tried to attack him with a changeup in that same spot. But that's what Hosey does, man. He keeps his hands back. He doesn't try to pull. You see him stop that swing for a little bit and just stayed on the baseball. And what a terrific job of hitting to tie this ball game up at 2.
Mike Napoli leading off here in the home half of the 4th for Texas. Napoli struck out his only time up in the 1st. Tell you what, Art, he showed pretty good wheels running down Hosey on that.
He just barely got him by about a thread.
Those two used to play cards.
I was
going to
say, he was trying to put
a
a deck of cards in his back pocket is what he did.
Fastball strike outside corner.
It's just that Ramirez had to stop and backpedal, so he had no choice. He was going to kick it into gear, but he just barely got him.
Swung on and missed. Down on strikes. Number 5 for Danny Salazar.
The second baseman,
Come back with that change. Bottom falls out. You get the swing and miss in his 5th strikeout. For Mike Napoli, and it's his 2nd.
Here is Rougned Odor, called out on strikes his first time up. Pulls one through the right side of the infield. Only the 3rd hit tonight for Texas, but they've had a base runner in every inning.
Yeah, Salazar's the type of pitcher does not give up a lot of base hits. He'll walk you, make a couple mistakes, and may give up a long ball like he did tonight. But he'll get his strikeouts, no doubt.
Carlos Gomez. We've watched him for seemingly his whole career. He actually made his debut with the Mets back in '07, but then came to the Twins, and we watched him there for a few years, then on to Milwaukee, Houston, and now Texas. But as you said, kind of revived his career when he got traded to the Rangers last year. It looked like, well, he was really in a spiral.
I remember we went down and played him in Houston when he was down there, and he was swinging so hard. It was almost falling down on his swings, trying to hit everything out of the ballpark. He seems under control now. But like I said, that opening day when when he hit that home run, it could be a bad thing for him, because he's got very good power. But if he can shorten his swing, we used to say that when he was with Minnesota. They felt he could run. He was a 5-tool player. He could throw. He could do it all. But he was just out of control. He'd swing too hard.
Remember, his helmet would fall off at home plate when he was a young kid.
But you saw the talent. I mean, it was there.
Yeah.
The tools, it was there. It just had to sink in for him. But he's lucky, because he thought he was going to be out of baseball and nobody would want him. But Texas took a flyer.
Ball's in the dirt. Good stop by Roberto. Kept that ball from getting too far away from him. And Odor, I just don't think he got a good read on. I heard everybody chattering, go, 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 but he just couldn't quite tell how far away it was maybe initially.
Yeah, that's the curveball down there, but that's all anticipation. If you don't expect it, if you're watching it on the side and you see that ball going in the dirt, you could take off, on your own, but you can't stay flat-footed. That's something you have to anticipate before it happens. Because a lot of times Salazar's fastball will be up like that.
I think he went. Oh, they said he didn't. Wow. I think Gomez might have caught a break. It sure looked like he went, didn't it? Oh, yeah.
Well, what do you think? If he would have hit it, it might have been a double off the wall.
Stu Sherwater, first game of the series that he's umpired in this crew. Runner goes, swing and a miss, throw down, in time. They got him. 2 down.
Okay, you want to start him out on a 3-1 count, which they did. Perez, that guy behind the plate, he can throw. I'll tell you what, there's the good jump, and he had a good pitch to throw on. You get the swing and miss, and it's sitting right there in plenty of time. Ramirez puts the tag on.
That's a great second look, guys. And it reminds me of something when I talked to Sandy Alomar about what catchers have to do when they're throwing out runners. And that was a great illustration of it by Perez. And that is, even when you know that runner's going as a catcher, you have to stay back behind the ball. You can't start coming forward or everything kind of gets out of whack.
Sure.
You start anticipating, you speed things up. And then you saw Roberto sit back, catch the ball first, and then make the transfer and throw him out.
Well, and a true throw. You know, when you try and rush and you get out there ahead of yourself, the ball will sail.
Swung on and missed. Danny elevated the fastball and gets his 6th strikeout of the night. 4 complete. In Texas, we're tied at 2. You buy Levin Furniture. For the best deals on furniture and mattresses, shop Levin's. And by Cleveland Clinic, Express Care online. Download it now for free. Well, we've got another good one here in Arlington. The Indians and Rangers tied at 2. Yandy Diaz, Austin Jackson, and Roberto Perez to bat for Cleveland here in the 5th. Really, Arch, all 3 games, they've all been entertaining.
Yes, they have.
For the most part, well played. Indians have played very well defensively, and the Rangers only committed a couple of errors.
You talked about it all series, a mirror image of each other. When you look at their numbers from last year, home, road, wins, losses, offense, 1-run games.
Yeah.
It's really similar teams, and you would expect it. They were the Western Division champs, and the Indians the Central, and you expect to see good baseball, and we certainly have.
Yandy Diaz smacks one right back up the gut. And now that's the 4th Indians hit in the last 6 hitters against Cole Hamilton. Let's go down to Andre for more on Yandy Diaz.
You want to know why everybody is so happy with Yandy Diaz and can't wait to see his career? So far, he's seen 26 pitches in the big leagues. He's only swung and missed twice, guys. Now, I know he struck out in his first at-bat, but talking to Tito and talking to some of the coaches, they love his approach, and they love that he doesn't swing and miss very often, if at all.
Well, and Andre, they loved him for his bat, and that's why he's on this club. So we're getting a chance to see exactly why they do love this guy. Get him at bats.
Well, now he's at first. go-ahead run. Austin Jackson at the plate, and he draws a throw, throws it
a
away.
balk. I thought he was going to call a balk at first base, to be honest with you.
Diaz round second, but he'll stop right there.
I thought the first base umpire was pointing like he balked, and then the ball was thrown away.
If he hadn't gotten caught up with Napoli, he might have gone all the way to third.
Watch the umpire. Watch as he's coming over there. That's watch him point. Look at
just getting out of the way.
He was?
Yeah.
Okay, he fooled me. Because that was late going over there. But he throws it away. He'll get himself into scoring position. It'll be an error on Hamels.
Now, third baseman Joey Gallo creeps in, wondering if Jackson might bump the go-ahead run over to third, even though we're only in the 5th inning. And you've got Roberto Perez on deck. He does square, pulls it back as the pitch sails outside. He swings him a slow chopper up the middle. He'll still get the runner over to third.
Well, that's the veteran right there. You know what? You put the bunt on one time, you take it off, and you let him. He knows what his job is. Get the ball to the right side. You got it past the pitcher. You move the runner along. Job well done.
And now the Rangers will bring the infield in as Roberto Perez steps up to try and break the tie.
You can see Mike Sarbar over there talking to Diaz about if they want him to go on contactor here. We will see. I would say why not? You're down at the bottom part of the lineup. Anything on the ground because you can put it in playoff Hamels.
Here's a ball hit the deep left. Back is Mazzara. He will make the catch, tagging. And coming home with a go-ahead run is Yandy Diaz. 3-2 Cleveland.
There you go. The error to move him into scoring position. Get him over, get him in. Job well done by the bottom part of the lineup.
Roberto didn't waste any time. He's looking for a pitch to elevate. He got it, put a good swing on it, and it was plenty deep enough. What do you think of that bleached blonde hair? You thinking about maybe could there be in your future here?
Absolutely. I may have to ask him who his hairdresser is. I think that was for that.
I think Andre might have more on that. I think that was part of the. Is that part of the WBC Team Puerto Rico look?
Yeah. Yes, that was part of the Puerto Rico look. I believe Molina was the first guy that said it, and he said, "When Molina says it, we all got to do it." Now, he said he was going to get rid of it, but he said when he got back here, he figured he'd keep it for a month. And he says if things start off good, maybe he'll keep it all year.
Should I try it, Andre, or should mine just go gray, platinum gray?
I want to see you platinum gray.
Platinum silver.
Yeah, you got to be real, man. Come on.
You got to be real.
You could look like what was that guy? Is it Jay Peterman from Seinfeld? He could look like that guy.
He's giving you a thumbs up down there.
He likes it. The 1-1. A little low. Now Montez strikeout victim as Roberto comes out of the dugout to
show
grab
his
a
hair
piece
off.
of equipment.
He heard us talking about his hair.
Smacked up the middle. Will it get through? Nope. It's cut off by Andrus, and he just does throw him out. Well, the Indians take the lead. A leadoff single, a throwing error. Get him over, get him in. 3-2 Cleveland. It's time now for our T-Mobile takeover. Here's Alan Jensen back in Cleveland. Our score here as we go to the bottom of the 5th. That Red Sox-Pirates game, by the way, no score.
Right, 8th inning. Italians matching zeros with Sale.
7 innings, 5-hit shutout for that young man. For Texas, bottom 3rd of the order here is Danny Salazar has struck out 6. He's walked 2. And he's given up 3 hits, maybe 4. Let's see. Great stop by Ramirez, but he can't quite get the ball out of his glove to even attempt to throw.
Well, he was pointing to right field, so there's no way he could throw. I mean, just watch the range that he shows to get to the ball, and we said that this field is very quick. But there's no way he's got time to turn over and throw that ball and get him at first base. I don't care who was running. It was just a nice job to get to the baseball. It'll go as a base hit.
So a leadoff single. Joey Gallo to the plate, struck out his only time up. And Danny with a good fastball, had a little tailing movement, 95 miles an hour. This is what you always call is a huge inning for a pitcher. Your team has just scored to give you the lead. You want to go back out and try to keep the momentum on your side.
Well, he did it after they tied the game in the 4th. They came back and added on. And you're right. This is the big inning here. You want to shut it down. You're at the bottom part of the lineup. Leadoff man got a base hit. That's one thing that Salazar did very well last year in shutdown innings when they scored for him. He had an ERA of just 1.21 last year.
Boy, did he pull the string on him there nicely.
That's I think the key to get to this guy, because Gallo, he's got, we've told you in this series, tremendous power, but he has some holes in that swing, and Salazar has found them. Upstairs, the fastball above the belt and that changeup down below, that really takes a lot off of it, because he has that slight uppercut, as a lot of left-handers do. Another change was, oh, that was a fastball. Okay.
You can see Roberto really gesturing fastball, but keep it down out of the strike zone to see if maybe they could get him to fish for one, knowing that he's a low ball hitter. Now do they run it up the ladder?
Well, you got a full count, so you got to throw him a strike. You don't want to walk him. He wants the changeup. He wants his swing and miss pitch here. And missed it.
So the first 2 Rangers are aboard with nobody out. Last inning, Roberto Perez threw out Rougned Odor trying to steal, and I mentioned Sandy Alomar talked us through what a catcher has to do in that situation to execute.
Usually you're going to have your left foot a little bit ahead of a right foot on a little wider base. You're able to just stay under the ball like that. So if you're here, my suggestion is to wait for the ball. Don't go over it. Because if you go over the ball when you're going to throw, what's going to happen, your rear end is going to go, and then this right foot is going to go further back. If you wait for the ball, you can go get it, meet the ball. Then, as you meet the ball, then you receive the ball, and this right foot is going to come here instead of back here. So you're going to meet the ball, transfer happen up front. As the transfer happens, then the back foot is going to come forward. The quicker you can put the right foot to the ground, the quicker you're going to be to the base.
You have a little more on your backside to throw and be accurate with it. To stay right on.
Who better to learn from than Sandy Alomar? Now watch exactly what Roberto Perez does. He stays back,
Watch his foot.
catches it first. That foot
comes
just
right
a quick
there.
transfer.
Just a little movement right there, but he's still behind the baseball. Well, a big at-bat here in this situation after the walk to Gallo to put the first 2 men aboard. Because you're flipping the lineup over now after this hitter. Andrus now 4 for 8, or excuse me, 4 for 9 in his career against Salazar. He's 1 for 1 tonight. He took it right back up the middle on an off-speed pitch.
Good pitch.
Yes, it was.
Did he call it? Okay. No, he didn't call it.
No.
Let's take another look. I thought it was just a bit off the plate, I guess. Yep. I like that execution, though, even though it's called a ball, because if he goes and rolls over on that pitch, you've got a double play opportunity. Well, that's the
difference. This guy's a very good hitter. A lot of hitters would have went after that pitch. He's a veteran. He took it. He's a good hitter. And right now, Perez trying to slow Salazar down, and they're going to talk about it. And in comes Lindor. You're at a crucial point in this ball game now. First and second, nobody out.
Lindor trying to keep that runner close at second base, but he also wants to be able to cut off that hole on the left side of the infield. Out of play. So a ball and 2 strikes now on Andrus, with Delano the Shields at the top of the order waiting on deck. Stays 1-2. This is one of those matchups that could swing the momentum in this game one way or the other. Just missed outside. He tried to dot the outside corner.
Well, it was just like that slider away. That one just off the plate. Both times balls, but he's able to lay off to him. Now, big pitch. You don't want to go to 3-2.
Time called again. Of all the issues that we've talked about with baseball in regards to trying to speed up the pace of play, the clocks, this, that, and the other thing, the intentional walk, this is the instance that seems to bog the game down.
Well, this is
the number of times
the game.
Hitters step out, call time, step off. That's the thing that grinds the game down to a halt.
Well, this is where the game counts. You can't afford to make a mistake, and it takes time out there, and you got to make sure you don't make mistakes.
Well, Matt, Rick, I was going to say just that thing. Isn't that the best part about the game, that you can't change? You can't change what the game is, right?
No, that's exactly right. When you're in a situation like this, man, you watch Cole Hamels when he was going out of the full windup, he was quick. You get runners on base, everything slows down because you don't want to make mistakes.
And the 2-2 is swung on and missed. He got him upstairs with a fastball for the first out of the inning.
That was worth the weight of every second.
His 7th strikeout of the game.
Fastball, he was able to get one by him, and that might have been a ball, but boy, you wanted to take him the other way, and there it is, just borderline. He was trying to slap it and stay alive, or at least foul it off. Salazar wins the battle.
How many times have you called timeout or stepped out when Nolan Ryan was pitching with the game on the line?
I don't know. I probably never faced with the game on the line. I don't know. You don't. There's times you do that when you're on the road, or you do certain things. Crowd starts getting into it when they're clapping. They want to strike out. You try and slow the pitcher down. That's all part of the. That's all part of the game.
Delino DeShields struck out in the first, sacrifice bunt in the third. Popped him up.
There you go.
Right at the plate. Perez. 2 down.
Well, as both of you guys know, in the minor leagues, they're doing all they can to speed the game up. And one of the things they've been doing over the last 3-4 years is keeping guys in the batter's box. One of the best guys in dealing with that was Tyler Naquin when he played down in Columbus. You guys want to guess the first person that got a letter last season about stepping out of the box?
Tyler Naquin.
Tyler Naquin. Tito Francona told me that story. And he goes, I guess it's working. The kid got up here and he starts stepping out of the box.
As soon as the shackles are off, you run wild. Here's Shin-Soo Choo. Walked and scored in the first, grounded out in the third. And Danny with a good off-speed pitch. And Choo swinging right over the top. Another ball down. That looked like maybe the changeup, and it's 0-2.
Yeah, back to back. Change down. Good location. So now pitching from in front, and this could be a very big out for Danny after the inning started with a base hit and a walk.
His 80th pitch of the night. Down and in. Well, Danny Salazar came out, struck out Delino DeShields on 3 pitches to start the game. Then he walked Choo in that first inning. And Nomar Mazara smoked a fastball to right into the seats, and it was 2-0. Rangers have just 3 hits since then. And Salazar has pitched very impressively against a good hitting lineup. Smack to Lindor. He'll try to beat him to the bag. He didn't do it. Through to first, and Encarnacion couldn't make the catch.
He wasn't.
Oh my! What a huge error! And now the Rangers take the lead.
He wasn't expecting the ball, Encarnacion, but I'll tell you, that's good hustle to get to second base and beat it out. And then Lindor at least had the presence to throw to first base, but I don't think Encarnacion was looking, and it surprised him, and the ball went off his glove. So right now, Tito's hoping that they beat him to the base. It doesn't look like it, though. So that's a big turning point. Should be out of the inning. He beats him. He beats him to the base, but there's the presence. He still threw it to first base, and it was a good throw. And it goes off of Encarnacion's glove. So I don't know who they're going to give the error to, but they can't challenge it because he was safe.
Was Ramirez late getting there?
I don't know where he was playing. He had to be, because he was going to flip it over there. And now Mickey wants to go out and talk to Danny. Again, you've got Mazzara. Let's see where he is. Maybe he just felt he was going to go to first base with it. You know, here he comes to second.
He kind of just stopped. It was weird. Jose he was making a beeline towards second, and then he stopped. Maybe he was thinking he's going to first base
the
whole way.
He's not everyday second baseman. He's only been playing over there. He's playing over at third, even though that is his position. But you know, just that little hesitation. What he thought was going to happen didn't take place. I don't blame Ramirez. I think that ball maybe Frankie could have went to first base with.
Well, it scored a fielder's choice and a 2-run error on Lindor. Wow.
I thought the throw was on line, though.
Nomar Mazara takes a strike. The first error of the year for Cleveland, and boy, is it ever costly here in the middle of the game. Instead of being out of the inning. And I know the official score charged Lindor with an error, but it did look like Encarnacion could have caught the ball at first.
It did to me. I thought if he was on the base and waiting for it, they would have had him at first. Now that's what I thought.
Oh, 2 count. Down and in. One more look. See if you can kind of take a look at first base.
He's at first base there, but it almost looks like he deflected it. And Frankie, that was his second reaction. Let's see. Here's the throw. Now let's see. Does he see it? No. It surprised him. That ball was right there. If he's on first base, he's out. So I don't know if that should have been an error on Lindor. I think it surprised Encarnacion, to be honest with you.
One-two pitch. And there's a wrap into center field, and another run will score potentially. The throw is cut off, and they've got Mazzara in a rundown as Lindor runs him back and tags him out. Rangers get 3 unearned runs here in the 5th, and they take a 5-3 lead.
5-3. Well, it's only the third game of the season, and teams wear different uniforms throughout spring training and throughout the season. And guys, tonight, Mickey Callaway went out earlier in the game to talk to Danny Salazar and check out the caps. Most guys have the Chief Wahoo hat. Mickey had the Block C hat. To say the least, when he got back over here to the dugout, there were a lot of laughs, a lot of messing with him. He no longer has that hat on, but trust me, everybody in the dugout wants this picture, and I'm sure it'll be hanging up everywhere we go over the next few days because he had the wrong one on.
Well, I mean, that's one of the problems they had that you never had. Which cap do I wear?
Which cap? What jersey? You're right. They have so many. They have BP caps, jerseys, and tops. I'm surprised it doesn't happen more.
Carlos Santana singled and scored in the fourth. High fastball. 1-1.
Well, the Indians have to play catch up again now here in the sixth. Chance to get out of that inning. That was a tough mistake there after Salazar battled to work his way through that inning. It was their first error of the year, but I still don't think it was on Lindor.
There's a high pop, right field. Chu. One down.
Well, great seats remain for the Tribe's first homestand. It'll be against the White Sox and the Tigers. You can grab a $13 district ticket or a $10 KeyBank Kids ticket. Just go to Indians.com for the information. You can get them only online.
That was a play where I think legitimately there were three guys who could have all said, I messed that play. I'm sure Frankie's probably mad because he maybe should have just gone right to first.
Yeah.
Well, Ramirez is maybe mad because he wasn't there a little bit quicker to make it an easier play for Lindor. And Encarnacion saying, I should have just caught the ball. Lindor is trying to make up for it with one swing of the bat, and he booms one into the seats and makes it a one-run game. It's his second hit of the night and his first home run of the year. And it's a 5-4 ball game.
Boy, oh boy, I'll tell you what, it woke Frankie up. He's upset because he just hit a jolt out of here.
Normally he smiles. You can tell he's still burning a little bit.
Oh yeah, I guarantee he does because he feels responsible. It's going to be our Yellowwood bringing the lumber. He gets this one out of here, boy. Right there, he knew it. Put the head down and go. And you're right, there's no smiles. So it's a 5-4 ball game. They are within one now, and they had a response.
Here's Brandon Guyer now 0 for 2 on the night. You know, Frankie, I asked him about this when he came to town for the Tribe Fest during the wintertime. And when he was a kid growing up in Puerto Rico, learning the game of baseball, watching it on TV with his dad would always ask him, all right now, what would you do in this situation? What would you do? And Frankie prides himself on always staying ahead of the game by thinking, all right, if the ball's hit to me right now, what do I need to do? Where should I go? Where am I going to go with the throw? What am I going to do? And whether or not it was just a case of he second-guessed himself by thinking one thing and then, oh, I should have just gone ahead with it.
It'd be a great question for him after the game, Frankie. What were you thinking in that situation? Should you have went to first base? He'll be the first to tell you.
Sky-high pop back out of play. The Levin player profile shows you that Brandon Guyer was hit by more pitches last year than anybody in baseball and in a long time as well. A tremendous.
The human bullseye.
Tremendous high school football player, great running back at Virginia in high school. Fouled off. And he showed his athletic ability with a tremendous tumbling catch in right field, and then in the same game made a great throw to gun down a runner at second base. It was Mazara who tried to stretch a single into a double.
Oh,
he got hit again.
You had to run the profile. Add to that hit total.
It isn't amazing. That's just amazing.
Well, most of the time we saw last year it was from the waist down. This one's up, isn't it? Oh, no, right on the hip.
Right on the thigh board.
It got him. But he doesn't move a whole lot. Usually those feet stand right in the toe hold.
First baseman Encarnacion.
Now Edwin Encarnacion, and who, like Lindor, has probably got a slow burn going from the events of the last half inning. Tying run at first, 1 out. We're only in the 6th.
You know, the funny thing is when you sit up here and we watch that play take place.
Now he's going to call that one a strike.
Yeah.
But not that one an inning ago.
Gomez. You know, we sit up here and look at that play the way it takes place. We really have to find out what they were thinking and what the thought process is, because, you know, it happened so quickly. We didn't have a really good look at it on our replays until that last one we finally saw. But that was a big turning point in this ball game, at least to right now.
Gets away.
Good heads
and
up.
Dyer alertly goes into scoring position with 1 out. It'll be ruled a wild pitch, I believe. I don't think.
He got a good jump.
Yep.
He saw it going in the dirt. By the time Lucroy could get over there, watch him shuffle, shuffle. It's in the dirt. Go ahead. Put your head down and get it started. Made it easily.
Missed outside.
Okay, here's the angle that we looked at. We finally got a look at it. Frankie went to flip, and he saw that Ramirez sort of gave up, and then the throw, and then Encarnacion wasn't looking. It went off his glove, so they could have had 4 outs easy if he gets to second base or the first base.
Encarnacion showing some patience here, and it's 3-1. First base is open.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, but you got no bargain on deck.
No. Ramirez hurt him with a 2-out, 2-run single his last time up.
The 3 people that were involved in that play and thoughts of doing damage to maybe get it even. Lindor did his part. Encarnacion an opportunity here.
He lays off, and it's ball 4.
So the patience was there that time.
A homer, a hit batter, and now a walk. And the Rangers bullpen has action. Here comes, that's not the manager, but the pitching coach. Doug Brocail, I believe, is going out there to talk. It is Doug Brocail going to chat with Hamels. We've got Jose Ramirez coming up. Ramirez shot him to right field for a 2-run single in the 4th inning.
He nibbled with a fastball away. He was trying to make some good pitches and then threw that changeup. And boy, Ramirez reverted right back to last year. Got the big hit to tie the game at 2 and then got into that rundown. Even though he was the last out of the inning, he drove in the 2 runs. The Indians went on to take the lead before they gave it back in the bottom half of the 5th. But a chance here to tie it back up again.
Chu really shortened up in right field. Otherwise, they're straight up for Ramirez. And a fake throw to second.
Well, they just want to keep him a little bit closer. And if you're going to stay away, and maybe that's their thought process, if he's going to go to right field and he doesn't hit it at one of our fielders, because really the hole's there at second base with Napoli way off the first baseline and Chu cheating in.
High fastball, 1-0. Remember, this game started with Cole Hamels retiring the first 9 in a row, striking out 4, first time through the order. Since then, the Indians have knocked him around a little bit. High 2-0. Second time through the order. 4 of the first 6 Indians batters all got hits. 3 of them scored. And now as we start the 3rd trip through the lineup, the Indians have had a homer, a hit batter, and a walk. Santana flied out to start the inning. Ramirez trying to keep the heat on Hamels. High again, 3-0.
Yeah, he's digging a hole for himself now. Hit Geyer, walked Encarnacion, hasn't thrown a strike to Ramirez.
Now you have to wonder, has he just run out of gas suddenly here?
Very well could have. Because they have scored the last 3 innings.
Just to get me over fastball at 92.
Breeze first time through the lineup, first 3 innings, and then they've had to work. He's had to work. He made a nice adjustment second time through.
And he swung hard at that 3-1 pitch, fouling it back. And now a full count. Yandy Diaz waiting. Geyer, the tying run at second. Encarnacion, the go-ahead run at first. Ramirez yanks one toward left. Mazzara makes the catch. 2 down.
He came back with the 2 fastballs and then the changeup right there. Even though Ramirez pulled it, he hit it on the nose, but right to Mazzara.
Boy, that is, you talk about hanging by a thread. Hamels is 3-0 to Ramirez. And he get me over fastball for strike 1. Challenged him. I don't know if it was a cutter in, got him to foul one off, and then routine fly ball out. Now he's 1 out away from getting out of this jam. But Yandy Diaz has other ideas.
Yeah, Diaz a base hit in his last at bat.
Almost hit him. You can usually count on Diaz putting the bat on the ball and hitting it hard somewhere. He did strike out his first time up, but Cole Hamels hasn't had many swings and misses since the 3rd inning. 1-1.
He'll go home happy with a souvenir high 5.
Yeah.
Her mom tells his little sister, "Don't bug me, it's mine."
Lays off high, 2-1.
The one thing you can count on from Cole Hamels, he's not going to give in. You know, he's still going to go out there and battle and change speeds as he did to Ramirez. Even though he was down 3-0, he came back and got himself back into the count, and then on the 3-2 pitch threw the changeup. So as a hitter, you have to really remain disciplined, even though the count is in your favor sometimes, and stay with that game plan.
'90th pitch of the night.
Good
And
pitch.
it was perfect placement.
Yes, it was. Down and away. That's one that you don't want to swing at as a hitter, especially in a 2-1 count, Matt. You've got the count in your favor. That's just a perfect pitch. So you take that, and now you reset it up in your mind on what you want to do.
Now with 2 strikes, we've seen Diaz. He can hit that pitch if he's forced to swing at it and do some damage the other way with it. Right field, and Chu goes to the seat of his pants and hangs on. The Indians get a run closer on Francisco Lindor's first big blast of the year. 5-4 Texas, middle of the 6th. Bottom of the 6th. Danny Salazar still on the hill. Mike Napoli, Rougned Odor, Carlos Gomez to bat here in the bottom of inning number 6. Close pitch, called a ball, 2-0. That one is right down the heart of the dish, 2-1. Missed wide, 3 balls and a strike. And a foul right back. Now, tell you one thing about Mike. When he turns it loose, he very rarely gets cheated. There's no feeling for it.
No, as we know from last year, you get it down a little bit, he's going to hit you out of here. But that's a nice swing, and he swings hard every time. He never. Look, oh goodness. That's up in the upper deck, above the third base dugout, as high as you can get. They certainly do not come to the ballpark thinking they're going to get a baseball up there.
Swung out and missed. Roberto hangs on, and that's strikeout number 8 for Danny Salazar. Our in-game recap brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. In the first inning, Nomar Mazara, 2-run homer, staked Texas to an early lead. Indians come back with a 2-out, 2-run single by Jose Ramirez in the fourth. Not of the game at 2. And then the misplay in the fifth opened the door. Rangers scoring 3 times. And then the Francisco Lindor homer got the Indians back to within a run. It's a 5-4 ball game in the 6th. High and fouled on the right side by Odor. Swung on him as he chased one down low. Bounced it foul. Swung on and missed. Danny Salazar keeps racking up the strikeouts. That's number 9.
Center fielder, Carlos Gomez.
Yeah, they just reared back and challenged him here and just threw it by him. Up and away. Think you're going to catch up to that? I don't think so. Up and away. It was out of the strike zone. Couldn't even foul that one off. Salazar with 9 strikeouts.
Tied him up 1-1.
Otero getting loose in the Indians bullpen.
One 100th pitch of the night for Danny. Low and away. Just missed low and out. It's 3-1. And he's walked him. That might be it. Let's see what Tito decides to do here. Might want to give him a chance to get through. No, he's had enough after 102 pitches. Salazar will go 5 2/3 in his season debut. He'll leave trailing by a run, but really by no fault of his own.
That's true.
The call to the bullpen, courtesy of Cleveland Clinic. Dan Otero is coming on when we come back. Struck out 9 in his first start of the season.
Well, he had a fastball elevated. You're going to see a lot of swings and misses right there. His changeup has always been good. There it is right there for the swing and miss. High fastballs, if you can get the hitters to chase it up there. And a couple of them did, especially when they had 2 strikes. And he got the first 2 of this inning on strikeouts. But he pitched a good game. What do you have? 2 earned runs given up today out of the 5.
Yeah. Dan Otero came on and pitched the opener. 2/3 of a scoreless inning. And a ground ball out and a fly ball out. Ground ball right at Lindor. He'll go to Ramirez. That'll end the inning. 6 in the books. Tribe down 1. Brought to you by the injury lawyers at Elk & Elk. proud partners of the Cleveland Indians. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. By the new 2017 Kia Optima. And by Echo Outdoor Power Equipment. We roll on to the 7th inning here in Texas. Indians down a run. Indians trying to complete a 3-game sweep to start the year. New pitcher for the Rangers will be right-hander Tony Barnett. Barnett worked in 53 games a year ago. He's got the bottom third of the Indians order. Austin Jackson was in this spot in the order, but Tyler Naquin is going to pinch hit. So you get the left-handed bat against the right-hander, Tony Barnett. And Naquin takes a strike. Tried to pull it, rolls it to second. One away. A lot of people have been asking back home, what's the deal with the Texas Rangers outfield? What's all those squiggly lines? Well, a few months ago, they had a charity event here in which those lines were basically, they painted greens on the field, and then in the middle decks, people had the opportunity to hit golf balls into areas in which they could win prizes or what
sort of
have
like
you.
a top golf thing that.
So they painted where you see the dark lines. That was painted, the outlines of the hole or the green area, and then I guess the grass died. So they cut all that out and replanted new sod. And just as it's grown in, it grew as a different color.
It does look weird.
So it just kind of looks a little bit odd. But they have assured everyone here in Arlington that eventually it will grow in as the same color as the rest of the grass.
Well, it won't for us because we're not coming back here till next year. So it'll all be well and good. I bet they won't spray paint it again.
It's one of those, seemed like a really good idea.
At the
it just
time.
didn't really work out to the way they thought it was going to. I'm sure somebody watching home probably thought, boy, the groundskeeper's really eclectic there in Texas.
Well,
a regular Van Gogh.
His lawnmower just kept going in circles.
Or Picasso, or one of those guys. Roberto Perez drove in a run in the 5th. It's one of those unearned runs for Cole Hamels, but it was his error that caused it to be an unearned run.
Yeah, right.
Smacked right back up the middle. And Roberto Perez gets aboard with one out. Going to get a pinch runner now as Michael Martinez will come on to run for Roberto Perez. April in the OHIO, and the Blue Jackets are fighting for the top of the Eastern Conference. Columbus takes on Winnipeg tomorrow night at Nationwide Arena. Blue Jackets live at 6:30. Puck drops at 7 on the home of the Blue Jackets, Fox Sports Ohio, and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. So Arch, we're only in the 7th inning.
Right.
But is this still a try to steal a base situation for Michael Martinez since you're at the bottom of the order?
Well, let's take a look and see. I don't know what his move is yet. I'm sure they have times and everything on him at this point. Let's take a look and see. There have been times they've wasted no time when they're going to steal a base against certain guys. Pretty quick to the plate. So I would say no, they're not going to send him. But if Almonte can find a gap out there, he certainly can score from first base. And that's what they're thinking. Get a ball on that hard turf in the outfield and get it by one of the outfielders.
But Tony Barnett throws it by him. 1-1 to count.
There's the signs coming from Mike Sarbaugh over at third base. You know, not an easy thing to do, too, when you're getting put into the game late. I know all the guys that are on the bench and they're extras and they're waiting to get in. You go out and stretch, but to steal a base,
there
you
goes.
go. That's what you do. That's how you do it.
Great anticipation.
Lucroy had his work cut out for him opening night when Darvish was throwing, but this one's going down into the dirt, and that's where you read it. I don't know if that one really, he stayed back on that ball a long time, but take off when you see it in the dirt. Now you're in scoring position, and that's what you can do. If you're not going to steal a base, be heads up and look for it in the dirt, and he was.
Scored a wild pitch, but it looked like it barely hit in front of the glove. And now Michael Martinez looking to score from second on a hit by Almonte. The count. Outfield shades Almonte the other way toward left.
Well, they have a left-hander up in the bullpen. I wonder if Abe should reach if they go, because Santana's on deck. They did it, what, 2 or 3 straight times yesterday.
I would have
the game
to
on the line.
Believe you're right on there.
Jeffers just got up. He just made his first or second throw. The lefty's ready.
Dario Alvarez could be coming on to face Santana next. Key spot here for Almonte in the 3-2 count. Fouls it right back. Oh, he'd like to have that back.
Yeah,
again.
you would think so.
There's a hard hit ground ball, one hopper, backhanded by Odor. He'll take care of Almonte. There are 2 down. Michael Martinez goes to third. And now here comes Jeff Bannister to make his pitching change. He wants the left-hander to make Santana turn around and hit from the right side. Oh no, it's going to be Doug Brocail. So let's see what they decide to do now. Let's go down to Andre.
You guys in the open did a great job talking about Carlos Santana as the leadoff hitter and what he's done for the team. I talked to him as well today about the toe tap and that big swing in his kick that the leg kick that he used to have. He told me he went back and looked at film, and in talking to a couple different people, he said the toe tap is better for him. It keeps him more balanced, and he says he feels good with it right now. He even said that home run last night that he hit, he wouldn't have hit that with the leg kick. He feels more balanced than he ever has felt right now, and that's why he thinks he's been successful early in this season.
It almost seems like he can stay in the hitting zone just a little bit longer with that, shorter tap and the way that the foot goes up and down, or at least it used to. He looks much smoother.
Inside, ball 1.
Watch the home run from the right side of the plate. And Andre did a good job. He never hit his first one until we were out to the West Coast in California, and I think it was in June or something, and he pulled it. And he hit that one to right field. How many times you see him go the other way and hit a home run? Never. He's always pull side.
Low and in, 2-0.
Well, right there, they're not letting him extend.
Well,
he was told to stay inside here.
Yeah, the conversation, that's what I was going to say. What do you suppose Doug Brocail told him here with first base open? Not that Lindor's any picnic on deck, but.
No, but he's not. They're not giving him a lot of swinging room. At least they did in the first 2 pitches. See, you stay in there, and if you hit it, if you want to hit it hard, you're going to have to pull it foul. But every time they've given him swinging room in this series, he's hit the ball hard somewhere.
Rangers do have a 3-man shift on the right side of the infield. But you'll notice the outfield, the center fielder Gomez, he shades Santana a little bit the other way. Foul right back, evens the count at 2-2. A 1-run game. Last inning, Tribe had 2 on with 1 out, but Ramirez and Diaz unable to come up with the big hit to tie the game. Here with 1 out. They had a runner at second base. Almonte grounded out, moving him to third. But Santana still has an opportunity to try and tie it up here. There goes the bat, and it's strike 3. The inning is over. Stretch time in Arlington. Texas holds on to a 1-run lead.
Access to Tribe Rewards, and today's Tribe Rewards code is Chisenhall. Visit Indians.com for all the details.
Yan Gomes takes over behind the plate. And Tyler Naquin, new pinch hit for Austin Jackson, stays in the game in center field. Dan Otero got the last out of the 6th. And his first pitch here in the 7th goes out of play. He's got Joey Gallo, Elvis Andrus, and Delano DeShields due up. I don't believe there's anybody throwing in the try pin.
I don't see anybody.
Tried to hold up. He did, I guess. There's umpire Mark Webber. Well, if Otero can keep the Rangers off the board here in this 7th, and the 8th inning will be pivotal maybe for Cleveland when you look at who's coming up. They've got Lindor, Geyer, Encarnacion, potentially Ramirez. Fastball, but he didn't chase. And why would he? He likes the ball down.
No, he likes it down, but you know, you get 2 strikes. Sometimes you have a tendency to chase that pitch, and he's swung at a couple in this series that were up there, but he didn't on that one. Although Otero's a sinker baller, so you look down.
Got him. Dano gets the strikeout. One away.
Danny coming back with the changeup. You can see Gallo out in front of that pitch, and it has good movement, sinking down and away.
Elvis Andrus had a single in the 3rd, got to 3rd base in that inning, but was stranded there. And now he crunches one deep left and gone. His first home run of the year, 2nd home run of the night for Texas, and they extend their lead to 6-4.
And Elvis Andrus just continues to hit Indians pitching.
The Rangers' 6th home run in the series.
Well, you know you're not going to get this one back. That was right there for him. That's 4 hits in the series. He's got a single, a double, a triple, and now a homer. But it makes it a 2-run ball game now.
Top of the order. And we'll get a pinch hitter for Delino to Shields. And a foul right back. This is Drew Robinson. And a count quickly 0-2. Zach McAllister now starting to heat up. Rolls it to first, and Encarnacion takes it himself. 2 down.
Right fielder,
The $13 district ticket presented by Sports Time Ohio is back, and it includes your first drink. Can you beat that? Get your friends, catch the game from the corner and right, drink rails and left. Either way, district tickets are only available online at Indians.com/district ticket. Arch, last year Dan Otero pitched 70 2/3 innings. 70 innings. And he only allowed 2 home runs all year long.
Well,
so that's a rarity right there.
Well, it doesn't surprise me the guy that hit it the way he swings against Indians pitching. He's a good hitter.
It seems like if a pitcher's going to make a mistake with command, it's going to be with Elvis Andrus at the plate.
And plus, you know, he's had success. He got off to that great start. He's had a 39-game hit streak starting off his career, so he has confidence. And every time he sees an Indians uniform, he just knows he's going to get some hits.
Does that really?
Yep.
I mean, because the players change. It's not like, well, I know this guy, wear this guy out.
It doesn't matter. You just have certain teams. It doesn't matter who pitches in there in that uniform. You just have. You feel good again.
Oh, he's going home with 2. Not 1, but 2. That's a great night. Chu chases one, fouls it back. Nope, wouldn't offer it. 2-2. That was awfully close, and we've seen that pitch called a strike a number of times in the series. Not sure this one ends up. See, we've seen that call.
It was called on him earlier in the game.
Yeah.
Salazar was pitching, and that pitch to me looked better than the one that Salazar threw, because that had some movement coming back over the plate.
2-out walk keeps the inning alive for Mazzara. Pinch runner. Looks like Ryan Rua will run for Chu. He'll go in for defense, I suppose.
Now batting left fielder, Nomar
Mazzara. Homered back in the first inning and has driven in 3 runs on the night. What a season opening series for him. Especially as that ball's blistered into left. That was scorched past a diving Yandy Diaz. And there are 2 on with 2 out. I was about to say it's been a terrific opening series for Nomar Mazzara, especially given how his season ended last year in a tailspin when he hit only .242 after the All-Star break and struck out in 1 out of every 4 at-bats. But he looks like he's put that behind him. We've got a timeout for a pitching change. Tito goes to the bullpen with 2 on, 2 out. Tribe down 2 here in the 7th. authority of the Cleveland Indians and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. "6-4 Rangers on top, bottom of the 7th. They've got 2 on with 2 out. Mike Napoli, the batter. Zach McAllister making his first appearance of the year. McAllister pitched in 53 games a year ago. He's got a live fastball. The key for McAllister is, can he consistently command a secondary pitch to keep hitters honest? Challenged him with a fastball, but it was just above that belt area.
And I'm sure that's where he went to get McAllister, because he can throw that high fastball, and that's what Napoli's going to be swinging at. Otero, a guy that keeps the ball down in the zone, much better for Napoli.
Pops this one up, and it's back into the seats. Look out below. Oh, and 2 the count. Ryan Rua, the pinch runner, is at second. Nomar Mazara at first. Able to lay off the high 2-strike fastball. Right after second baseman Ramirez, who waits for Encarnacion to get to the bag, and the inning is over. But Elvis Andrus puts one into the cheap seats and extends the Ranger lead to 6-4 as we head to the 8th. Of the game. That's what you would call a vicious hack, huh?
Yes, indeed.
That home run by Lindor made it a 1-run game, but Texas has since added a solo homer to extend their lead to 6-4. Matt Bush on now to pitch here in the 8th. Got a high-octane fastball, but the Indians were able to square him up in the opener on Monday. Ryan Rua stays in the game in left. Nomar Mazara goes from left over to right.
Well, the hitters that he faced, and he gave up that home run to Encarnacion, they had very good swings off him. They weren't getting fooled. He was throwing it up in the 96, 97. But they had some pretty good hacks off him. And Encarnacion hit the breaking ball, hit his curveball out of the ballpark. But they're down 2. They've got 6 outs to go.
Two and 0. Lindor singled and scored in the 4th, and he hit that home run in the 6th. His first 2 hits on the year. 3-1.
Yeah, get that leadoff man aboard. Get somebody on base. Get that tying run to the plate.
There it is. Leadoff walk to Lindor. Tying run to the plate, and here comes Michael Brantley. He's going to pinch hit for Brandon Guyer here in the 8th.
Well, yeah, now you have the opportunity. You get that tying run, so that's what Brantley's sitting down waiting. Michael has a couple of 2-out RBI singles in this ball game. One in the 9th inning, and then the one that gave them the lead. So he is back there, and that's exactly who you want to see in this situation.
Andre reporting that Brantley's been down there heating up. It's not like he just grabbed a helmet and a bat and walked up here. He's been getting ready for the last couple of innings for just this kind of an opportunity. Unless Bush completely falls asleep, I don't anticipate Lindor trying to steal down 2 here.
No, now with the meat of the lineup, there's no way. You stay put. Let him swing the bat. One swing could tie it up. But again, like what he did with Martinez when he pinch ran him in the 7th, just anticipate something being in the dirt, and you might be able to move up a base.
2 pitches, 2 strikes.
Well, he came out through the curveball for strike 1 and dots the outside corner for strike 2. So 2 pretty good pitches to Brantley to get ahead in the count. But Michael's not at a disadvantage with 2 strikes. He's still going to have to work hard to put him away, I would think.
That's unbelievable. He doesn't pinch hit a lot, but in his career, 8 for 16.
And you know what? He's not what I would consider a typical pinch hitter. But, well, he's an everyday player. But when he's on the bench coming off, most pinch hitters like to get after the first fastball they see. He is a guy that would be a little more patient. Not to say he wouldn't, but the first pitch he saw in this at-bat was a curveball, and he hit with it.
Downstairs. That's a great point, given how many pinch hitters are a little over anxious.
Yeah.
He's just the opposite. I don't care if you get 2 strikes on me.
Yeah, I mean, that's just his style. That's what makes him so good. But, you know, I'd be curious to ask him, I know the answer. He's not going to change his approach just because he's a pinch hitter, because that's just his style, the way he goes about it.
He strikes him out. Matt Bush rears back 97 miles an hour and able to get a big strikeout of Brantley.
Well, he did a nice job starting him off with a curveball, got hit with a fastball away. He threw him a cutter in right before that pitch, and then he throws the fastball by him, and that was a pretty good sequence for Bush to come back and get Brantley. But this is the guy now that he wants to come back and get, because Encarnacion's the one that got him the other day. Here's the curveball. There goes the curveball. That tied the game up. Well, should he do it again? That could tie the game up too.
High drive, center field, but not deep enough. Oh!
He was sitting on the fastball because he hit the curveball the other night. It may have gotten in on it just a little bit.
Just missed, tying it up again.
Watch, it just gets down on the trademark a little bit. And watch him, his reaction. He knew he had something he might be able to handle, and I guarantee that was the pitch he was looking for, because he hit the curveball out the other day. So you figure he's going to throw me that fastball, and he got it. Put a nice swing on it, but it stayed in the yard, and it's out number 2.
Jose Ramirez now with 2 down. He drove in 2 runs with a single in the 4th inning. Lindor takes off, and the throw is not in time. And here goes the pointing to the dugout. Oh, we got to look at this one. So we'll see if the Rangers do indeed challenge.
They're saying he tagged him on his back foot or something. Now, you got to see if they did get him in the foot, see if his hand is on the base, because a lot of times when the guys go head first,
safe.
I'm saying he's safe there as well, because by the time the tag is there, Lindor's hand is there, and they haven't decided if they wanted to challenge. I'm saying safe.
They're not going to challenge.
No, I think that's a wise call.
Plus, the run the Rangers are worried about is the one at the plate.
Right.
Call to strike. And it's 1-1. Matt Bush deals, and it's outside. 2 balls and a strike. Good fastball, threw it by him there. 2-2.
Outfield very deep, playing no doubles defense now because the tying run is at that plate. They're not worried about Lindor at second. 2-run ball game. Luke Royal now go on out and talk to him here.
Now remember, the Rangers closer, Sam Dyson. The Indians touched him up on opening night for 3 runs in 2/3 of an inning. So even if they don't convert here, they're not out of this yet. But boy, you get a 2-out hit and at least make this a 1-run game.
Yeah, a little more interesting.
It's a little more heat on Texas. Matt Bush strikes out Ramirez. He gets a couple of huge Ks in the inning. And Encarnacion flies out to deep center field. It stays 6-4 Texas. He stays in the game in left field. And here in the bottom of the 8th inning, Rougned Odor, Carlos Gomez will start the inning, and you've got Zach McAllister staying on the pitch. He got the last out of the 7th inning. Popped out of play. Nice off-speed pitch, but just a tad wide.
Well, went for the backdoor slider. Just stayed out there and he laid off.
Good inside fastball. And the payoff. Straight up. Gomes might have a play. He does. Nice basket style catch near the on deck circle for out number 1. Let's look back at the Mazda storylines tonight. The approach versus Hamels we know would be important. First time through, zip, nada, nothing. Second and third time through, they got to him. Scoring 3 times. Danny Salazar had his moments. I mean, he struck out 9. Gave up a first inning home run. Should have been out of the 5th inning, but the defensive miscue looms very large on this one.
3 unearned runs, absolutely. At first and second, nobody out. Pitched his way through that inning, able to get out of it, but a mistake by the Indians defense.
Carlos Gomez, a strikeout sandwiched in between 2 walks tonight. And a weak ground ball hit to Ramirez. 2 down.
The catcher, Jonathan Lucroy.
24,269 in attendance here this evening in the series finale. A little more than what we had here last night. Looks like Sean Armstrong's coming on to try and get the final out of the inning. So we'll take a timeout and we'll be right back. Armstrong making his first appearance on the year. I don't know that it was a huge upset that he, made the club as a reliever out of the bullpen, but going in, you kind of wondered how the makeup of the bullpen would evolve, because you knew most of the spots were sort of accounted for.
We were figuring there was only going to be one extra, and that's what it was. And this is the guy that made the team coming out. Now look, as we know, he battled, and they felt he was best suited to make this ball club out of the spring. Now you see if he can stay. Because as we know, throughout the course of the year, and with certain things that happen, it changes, and it can change in a hurry.
Two balls and a strike with two down here in the bottom of the 8th. Looking ahead to the 9th, Yandy Diaz, Tyler Naquin, Yan Gomes due up. And a foul back to even the count. By the way, not that anybody's really paying that close attention to the standings. It's a couple of games into the season, but the Minnesota Twins off to a nice start, beating Kansas City twice already, and doing it with offense and pretty good pitching.
7-1, 9-1.
Now low. By the way, if the scoreboard out there is correct, Arch, that great pitching performance by Chris Sale went for naught. Boston, Pittsburgh still scoreless in the 12th inning.
Yep. In the bottom of the 12th, you're right. At zeros in Fenway Park, mind you. And there's only been 12 hits in the whole ball game, period. I wonder if it's cold up there.
3-2 pitch, swung on and missed. Sean Armstrong strikes him out. So the Rangers go in order, and we go to the 9th. Last chance for Cleveland when we come back. Dyson on to try and close it out for Texas. The Indians hung a loss on them on opening night. He's got Yandy Diaz, Tyler Naquin, and Yan Gomes for Cleveland. And a first pitch strike.
Yeah, that's the thing. He was falling behind the other night. Key will be strikes for him. Pitch from in front and let that sinker take off.
Just missed outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. By the way, just as I was telling you that Boston and Pittsburgh were scoreless in the 12th.
Yeah.
Sandy Leon hit a 3-run homer to end it.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So Boston got the win, and it was 40 degrees at the end of that game.
Okay.
Wind chill of about 34.
Understandable. You know, when you see 12 innings in Fenway on 2 good offenses that are playing each other, it's got to be cold out. It's got to be a good night for pitching.
Yeah. Seattle-Houston tied 2-2 down south of here.
They've had some low-scoring games in their first 3, haven't they? Houston's won the first 2.
They're in the bottom of the, I think the bottom of the 9th, it looks like. High with that pitch, 2-2. Yandy Diaz had a base hit in the 5th, came around and scored a run. 2 hits in the series.
Always important if you can get that first guy on, just to give him a breather. There he
And
goes.
indeed he is aboard with another base hit.
You get that first guy on, you get him thinking again, especially after his last outing. It was Naquin on Monday that led it off with a base hit up the middle. And then Almonte. And then Santana. So, you know, this thing can get his mind spinning and make him think a little bit. But that leadoff man's aboard. Well, that brings the tying run to the plate.
Were those sinkers that were just up?
Yeah, exactly. He's more of a sinker baller, and that thing has to, you know, it's got to move. It moves naturally.
Now here is Tyler Naquin.
And that's what you look for. You try and make him get the ball up. But Naquin, remember, used the center part of that field last time.
And it's up and away, ball 1. Big chopper over the head of the third baseman Gallo and into left field, and the tying runs are aboard.
Well, that was a good approach because that was almost like an AstroTurf hit.
Sure was.
Chopped down on it, but that tells you he's conscious of going the other way and staying on that sinker. He did it the other day like that. This one, though, he just beat out in front of home plate. You can see how hard this field is. Playing in front of third base, so that Indians in good shape. First and second, nobody out.
That's a good analogy. That looked like one of those old Three River Stadium, Riverfront Stadium, old Kansas City.
Baltimore chop, man. Hit it down in front and then just start running. Well, here you go. Bunt situation in play, you would think. Napoli coming in at first.
No. Takes a strike.
You know, Gomes not known as a bunter, but this situation dictates it. Maybe Tito's just saying, hey, stay on the baseball and go the other way. But the thing you worry about is the double play ball.
In the air, right field, playable for Mazzara, who comes in and makes a routine catch. Almost throws it away, but nicely backed up there by Gallo. One down. And now up comes Abraham Almonte. Indians have used everybody. They have nobody left on the bench. Roberto Perez started this game behind the plate. Michael Martinez pinch ran for him in the 7th. Gomes came on to take over behind the plate. Brantley pinch hit for Brandon Guyer back in the 8th inning. So that's it. Almonte 0 for 3 tonight. Carlos Santana moves to the on-deck circle.
Well, the Indians looking for their second hit with a runner in scoring position. Just 1 for 10 tonight. Boy, if we can get one here, it would really apply the pressure. You can tell the crowd here, they're not into it. They're still a little, you know, they're a little leery. They're waiting for something to happen. And oof, almost a wild pitch to send those tying runs into scoring position. I mean, right in front of you at second base, you get a good look at how far the ball can deflect off the catcher, and it wasn't far enough for Yandy to go to third. So
you've got to be sure.
Yeah, you've got to be 100% sure. There's no way you can get thrown out here. And there's a couple Indians fans hoping that they can keep it going.
1-1 to count on Almonte. That time called was you mentioned every game has been a nail biter, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. That's why these guys are the fans here are just sort of waiting. They're waiting to see what happens. Normally you get up there and they're loud. They're cheering for their closer to come in and slam the door. They're not so sure he can.
I mean, Monday's game was an 8-5 final, but those 3 runs weren't scored until the top of the 9th.
Right.
It was a tie game going into the inning. Last night, a 1-1 game.
They had 7 unanswered in that in Monday night's game.
The 2-1 up high.
There
3 balls and a strike.
Right now, and it seems like Dyson is not so sure of himself. He was facing the bottom part of the lineup where you've got to come in and be aggressive and throw strikes and make them hit you and put the ball in play. Well, they got the first 2 guys aboard,
and good wheels on the bags too. 3-1 pitch. Almonte gave it a rip but fouled it back. Full count.
well, he had a good rip. The count was in his favor. And had a good pitch to hit. You got to make him get it up a little bit. It was right there. Had it and fouled it off.
Wasn't that his last at bat?
Had a 3-1 fastball,
right
fouled
there.
it off. Yep.
Just missed it.
Yep, you're absolutely right. That's okay. Still got 1 to go. Find a gap. Let's see Tyler Naker how fast he can run.
Here is the payoff pitch. Ball 4. They are loaded.
Well, that's another good at-bat for Almonte. He was patient enough. He draws the walk, and now they've got him right where they want him. Bases loaded, 1 out, and you're back up to the top of the lineup. And he can't be real happy right now.
Well, Carlos Santana grounded out in the 1st. Singled and scored in the 4th. He has flat out struck out since then, but he's had a hit in every game in this series. And now he bats with the bases juiced. Can he maintain that good patience? Takes ball one.
Well, you know, normally Carlos gets in these situations and the patience, you know, runs a little thin. But after just walking that guy, stay patient right there.
Carlos has good career numbers, but you saw briefly last year was a struggle for him.
Boy, right center field gap is wide open.
2-0.
Uh-oh. They're feeling it now. Dyson's feeling it. They got to go walk out. They've got their bullpen and somebody throw it. They're going to send their pitching coach out because they're saying, we cannot let this happen again. Jeffers up, throwing. Santana sitting in the driver's seat here, 2-0.
Santana,
he's really stalling right now. You got to kick him out. Let's go.
2 seconds were left on the shot clock. They got it off.
Now they're going to call a 20-second timeout. Well, the Indians have the opportunity, boy. A base hit, they can tie it. A gapper, they can take the lead.
Yandy Diaz at third base. Tyler Naquin the tying run at second. Almonte the go-ahead run at first. Santana awaits the 2-0. 3 balls, no strikes.
Almost like he's guiding the baseball now. He's aiming it. You know, he's got a ball that moves all over the place. Sit down the middle, you throw it and you let it go. That's not happening. He's missing inside, he's missing down, and even if it's close, he's not going to get the call because he's all over the place. You gotta think he's out of here if he walks him.
The 3-0. Ball 4. It's a 1-run game. He has walked in a run.
Gotta be out of here, doesn't he?
Santana with his 4th RBI on the young season.
And didn't even have to swing the bat.
And so now the tying run is 90 feet away, where a sac fly could knot it up.
Well, he's out there with his closer. He's going to die with him, I guess. You know, this early in the season, you don't want to take the ball out of his hand. He was so successful for him last year, but he's gift wrapping it right now for the Indians. The Indians now with 1 out. That tying run just 90 feet away. The go-ahead run on second base, and a guy that can come up here and take care of a situation that he did before. He hit the home run after that 5th inning.
Bases loaded, still only 1 out. Here's Lindor, 1-run game. And there is a first pitch strike.
Taken all the way. You're going to force him to get in that strike zone.
Lindor singled and scored in the 4th. He homered in the 6th. He walked, stole a base, but was stranded at second in that 8th inning.
Heads up with Naquin at third on a ball in the dirt as well.
Low 1-1. Ready for the 1-1. Lindor drives it to deep right. Goodbye! A grand slam! How's that for making up for that mistake earlier?
Yeah, he certainly did. He came back, and since that play out there, he has 2 home runs, and that's the big boy right there. The salami.
His first career grand slam, and what a time to hit it. Texas tears falling in Arlington as the Indians have stunned this Ranger crowd.
There's the smile. We didn't see the smile until that hit right there, and it's a 5-run 9th inning.
A 5-run 9th for the Indians, and they have absolutely tattooed Sam Dyson in this series. The Rangers closer rocked for the 2nd time in 3 games. He's headed to the showers thanks to this. Wow, what a sound that made off the bat. 9-6 Cleveland. Ninth inning here in Texas. Francisco Lindor's first career grand slam and the first grand slam for the Indians since September of 2015. And now Jeremy Jeffress on to face Michael Brantley. Still only one out in the inning. And Brian Shaw heating up in the bullpen. The Indians have used Cody Allen and Andrew Miller both in the first two games of the series, so Terry Francona is going to stay away from those two guys tonight. A strike call. Little grounder back to the mound. 2 down. Well, if you joined us late, earlier in the game, the Indians had a 3-2 lead, and Francisco Lindor looked like he was going to go to first, then he was going to go to second, and then he tried to go back to first. It resulted in a couple of unearned runs, actually 3 unearned runs scoring in that inning. But he came back with a solo shot and then in the ninth, a grand slam.
I guarantee he was upset with that play in the ninth because Salazar had a chance to work his way out of it. But I'll tell you what, whether it was his fault or not, he was charged with the error. It doesn't matter. He came back and hit the home run, and he said, no big deal. It was, let's get back into the game. And that one right there, we saw a little bit of a smile. Be interesting to ask him after the game again. But I'll tell you what, there's no quit. And boy, Dyson, he doesn't want to see the Indians again. He's glad they're leaving town.
It sounds cliche because I suppose it is cliche. There's no quit in this bunch. These guys fight, you know, but this team, there is something about this club that they just, regardless of the score and the situation, they just don't ever throw at bats away or feel like, hey, this isn't over yet.
No, they work it. They work it to the end.
There's a smash to short. Andrus will throw him out. What a night for Cleveland. Francisco Lindor's first career grand slam has the Indians looking for a sweep. Cardinals after the turn of events in the 9th inning.
Why wouldn't they?
But it's not over yet. I mean, this is the crazy thing about baseball. You need the 27th out. And Brian Shaw on now to try and close this one. After Sean Armstrong got the final out of the 8th inning.
The amazing thing is you come in here, we're only 3 games into this season, but the Indians have scored 21 runs. 8 of those 21 have come in the 9th inning. So, you know, they did damage, and but most of it's off Dyson.
Yeah.
You know. So they have done some damage, but they've put themselves in an opportunity to sweep the Texas Rangers here. 3 outs away.
Well, Joey Gallo will lead off. Then it's Elvis Andrus, and I believe Drew Robinson's due up third. Now they do have Jurickson Profar on the bench they could still use. Called strike. Good off-speed pitch. Popped him up foul. That's out of play. Arch, we've talked so much about the success that Elvis Andrus has had against the Indians in his career. That's what the Indians have done to Sam Dyson here in 2 games.
Well, yes. Well, I remember last year we talked about it in game 1. You know, he had a save in a 2-1 ball game here where the Indians lost, but they had base runners on. They had the opportunity to get them. They just weren't able to do it. But the first 2 opportunities this year, they were successful at it.
And I think we've also seen in the first 3 games why so many people around baseball really like this Indians ball club. We love them. We're around them every day. But people who don't see them every day, they like this club because of what we've seen in the first 3 games. This is a lineup that can beat in a lot of different ways. It's not just Edwin, not just Carlos. Bottom of the order started this rally. They got it rolling.
Yeah, they did. And, you know, the little things to take the lead earlier in the game when they were able to get a base hit. They took an extra base. They moved him over. They got him in, you know, without having to score on the big home run ball. Dyson really struggled. But they got the leadoff man aboard, and they planted that seed after he struggled in game 1 on Monday. Here we go again, and that creeps into the mind of players. You know, a lot of closers, I would think.
Brian Shaw elevated that fastball and struck him out.
The shortstop, Elvis Andrus.
Watch the location of this. Perfect.
Well, it's his cutter. But you're right. It's up above the belt. That's a big guy. His legs are long, but it got up above the belt. He got the swing and miss. He's gone down 3 times tonight.
Elvis Andrus, base hit on the 3rd. He homered his last time up, and you know, remember when he hit that home run,
gave him an insurance run.
made it a 6-4 ball game.
Yep.
Brian Shaw looking sharp here tonight. But he did last night too. He only gave up the 1 hit. High pop up on the infield. Ramirez calling for it. And Jose makes the grab. 2 down.
Designated hitter, Drew Robinson.
And it will be Drew Robinson who will bat with 2 down on the 9th now. Indians will be off tomorrow. And then a 3-game series against the Diamondbacks begins Friday night from Chase Field. We'll have all 3 for you right here on Sports Time Ohio. Ground ball up the middle. Lindor throws, got him. The Indians sweep the Rangers to start the year. A stunning come-from-behind win for the 2nd time in the series. This one a 5-run 9th, highlighted by the Lindor grand slam. And the Indians will head back to the desert with a 3-0 record. The first time they've done that since 1998. And it's their first sweep here in Texas since 08.
Well, a great comeback today. It was